Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben, my friend.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Rufai. Good morning, Tundun.
Emmanuel, your friend.
Radiant as ever.
Thank you.
Mr. Efeni, Emmanuel, your friend.
And my friend of yesterday, Ruben, 30 years counting.
Oh.
Greatest Malabite.
Yes. Let's move
Good
on.
to see you.
Yes, great. With this day, let's start with this day newspapers. Nigeria's newspaper of records. The lead story. COVID-19 raises Nigeria's e-payment transactions to 11.7 trillion, says report. Federal government cautions churches against reckless confidence over virus. 544 new cases move tally to 28,711 with 11,655 discharged, 645 dead. Jonathan Kenyatta rally support for against pandemic terrorism. Reopening schools unsafe, dangerous, says ANAP insists, that's the Atedopita-powered ANAP, insists. Ghanaian president self-quarantines after exposure to patients. Yes, this report you discussed extensively much earlier in the news. Yes, e-payment, the biggest beneficiary of the COVID-19. The doctrine, the CBN and the banks have been preaching for many years now. Well, COVID-19 has forced everybody into e-transactions, and the banks should be happier. But there are also problems, because at times you get to supermarkets, if you don't have up to 3 cards, you'll be told network problem, network problem. Ruben, you are not into transactions. So I'm telling you, this is the problem we face. Those of us who are into transactions. There are problems. But the good thing is that e-payment, e-transaction is catching on, and that is the way to go, even post-COVID-19.
Well, quickly, Efeni, in all the sub-headlines that you pointed out, I think we can comment further on some of them. First, the subhead, Jonathan Kenyatta rally support against pandemic terrorism. We're told that the Google Jonathan Foundation is providing palliatives across the country in about 20 states. And I think that fits into the same pattern of many Nigerians trying to make a contribution and support Nigerians through the difficulty of COVID-19. And I guess that's commendable. Then there is the ANAP statement, which this day also reported. Now, the statement by the ANAP Foundation think tank on COVID-19, while acknowledging the efforts that have been made so far by the federal government, noted that the reopening of schools may be premature, and that if you follow the science, you may see that, look, this is not the right time to reopen schools. Many of the state governments have different attitudes towards reopening. Some of them say they are ready. Some of the states say they're studying the situation. Others say they need to put certain facilities in place before they will reopen. But this has become a big debate. Should the schools reopen, particularly for graduating students, as stated by the Presidential Task Force? I guess that the caveat that we need to put there is that, as we have seen in South Korea and Israel, should there be any escalation in the positivity rate, particularly among pupils and teachers, the authorities should not hesitate to shut down the schools immediately. But those schools should only reopen when we are absolutely sure that the basic modalities have been put in place. Finally, the Ghanaian president has had to self-isolate after somebody who has had close contact with him came down with COVID-19. He has tested twice, negative, but still, in spite of that, he's taking the precaution to self-isolate. And that, again, is a point we make all the time about leadership. Yeah. And there are lessons here to be learned, particularly by leaders in Nigeria, who will insist that even when they come down with COVID-19, they will still receive visitors and they will be treating files and they will refuse to hand over to their deputies.
And for me, another shocking trend is the increase in the number of state governors coming down with COVID-19. I mean, somebody even made a comment, was saying, oh, is it not a political ploy? And I said, no, COVID-19 is real. It's not a political ploy. It just shows you that this is endemic in this country. We've got the governor of Ebonyi State now coming down with COVID-19. Last week, it was governor of Delta State,
About
7 going to 7 governors now have come down with COVID-19. And that's to show you that, please, it is real.
It's real.
And for those that stigmatize those that come down with COVID-19, governors are coming down with it now. Are you going to stigmatize those governors?
No. Tundun, I will bring you in. Let's look at how other newspapers are reporting COVID-19 and the updates. New Telegraph. Federal government to Nigerians. COVID-19 has come to stay with us. Then, the Vanguard newspaper, no, not the Vanguard, the Tribune newspaper, the Nigerian Tribune. Some Christians exhibit reckless confidence, according to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. While the Daily Independent, COVID-19, Federal Medical Center keeps infected nurses on duty, endangers lives of staff and patients. And the Federal Medical Centers they are talking about are the ones in one in Idiaba, Abeokuta.
Idiaba,
Abeokuta. That is your homestead, Ruben and Tundun. Now,
and what is the significance of that being our homestead? I'm not quite sure.
Well, something wrong is happening in your state capital. That's the whole idea. Now, the Nation newspaper, this is even more scary. 2,430 virus patients declined to show up for treatment. Lagos, they fear stigmatization. You will be arrested without face mask. PTF chair attends antivirus prayers. Now, you can see what I say is scary. The case in the Federal Medical Center, Abeokuta, is quite pathetic because these nurses came in contact with infected persons and they were tested. But their results were not released until after 10 days, and they started asking and they were given a verbal report.
That doesn't make any sense. It's completely
then when they insisted and the results came out, it turned out that they were actually positive.
So they've actually been infected and they've been infecting other people.
So these...
Awful. It's actually scandalous. There's no respect for their lives. These are health workers on the front lines. They should be given the opportunity to rest and be treated like everybody else. You cannot be working yourself to the bone while battling such a viral infection, a potentially deadly viral infection. It's an absolute disgrace.
And it's not only for the nurses. Let me just quickly chip this in. I had somebody, too, that went for a COVID-19 test, that his result didn't come after, in fact, more than 3 or 4 weeks. The result wasn't out. And when the result came out, they gave me verbal reports. So that has been a trend.
Remember the lady from Benue?
That's what the lady from Benue was fighting. NCDC should look at this.
Dr. Iwekazu of the NCDC addressed this at some point. And he said that, look, COVID-19 results are not given to individuals directly. You will recall that at some point, High Chief Dopesi and his son had requested for the result, and that was the response of the NCDC Director General, that is not handed over to process. However, health workers are at great risk, and the argument, the position has always been provide them with personal protective equipment so that they are not put at risk. I mean, over 1,000 health workers across Nigeria have been infected, and that is unfortunate because these are the people trying to provide the necessary care. However, in Ogun State is one of those states where the governor and the the relevant agencies have been quite proactive in dealing with the challenge of COVID-19. This should be a wake-up call further for the state government in that state to look at certain loopholes and address them accordingly. Thank you very much, Emmanuel.
Thank you.